Hey everybody! I'm wearing my bling.
Yeah! Woo!
I can talk about all of them, but really it's just this coast to coast one. Gets me all fired up. Gonna get a bunch this weekend. I'm excited. Gonna do the 5K in the morning, then gonna do the 10K, and then gonna do the half. So there's like 3 medals there, plus the dumbbell. I'm not gonna be able to walk.
No, you're not.
Hi everybody. Thank you so much. You want to throw out that inspiration just for a second and then go back to your thing. Alright, so when I talk about stuff, I've given speeches all over the country about different things. When I had a book out, about leadership, about social events and activism and everything else. This little talk I get to give you right now is the one that it comes from the core of my belly, my excitement for talking about this. So I'm calling it inspiration. Most people would say perspiration. Been running. Thanks very much. Got a little laugh right there. Thank you very much. Take her lead, folks. You can laugh. All right, hold on. I'm going to actually pull this up. Oh, yeah. This will be kind of like a staged reading. And if it gets boring, then I'll just stop and we can like take questions and have fun. I'll do a little dance. Do a little dance. Make a little love. No, don't do that. Don't see, and they're dancing. They laugh, they dance. You're sitting up front. You get an A. I give you totally an A. All right, let me start my official, formal Run Disney. Thank you, Run Disney. Thank you, Bob Hitchcock, for inviting me and having me back and having me up on the stage to talk. Thank you, Carissa, for the introduction and the entire tech team. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, here we go. I want to be perfectly clear about one thing. I am not an expert on running. I am not, my wife would tell you, and my children and everyone I know, even an expert on myself. What I can say is that in this life, I am trying, and that's not nothing. 3,038. 3,038 is the number of miles on my Nike Plus sensor. And most of them aren't at fun marathons. They're on backcountry roads in the middle of nowhere where nobody can give a rat's backside if you're running or not. How many pairs of shoes? How many smelly socks? How many hours of time away from my family have I spent? Well, thanks to Nike Plus, I have a rough answer to that question. It's 518 hours. Not counting drive time, not counting time doing registration, not counting how much time I spend eating orange slices after the race. 518 base hours of running commitment since July 2007. So it's over a long period of time, not that. For some strange reason, I have chosen to pound the pavement or a treadmill with great regularity. Well, not great regularity. I have extended periods of inactivity on the running front. Let's not focus on those. Why? Why do I run? Well, like most of the people here, I run because I simply must run. I love to cycle and swim and do a lot of other sports, but my passion is for running. Nothing else offers me the same results. Not the same physical or mental or emotional stimulation, nothing. Running. It's all about running for Shawnee Boy. So what do I get out of running? Everything. Strength of body, stamina, clarity of thought, and peace of mind, excitement, exhilaration, spiritual satisfaction, a profound relationship with the great outdoors, another way to relate to a huge variety of friends, present company included, and a vital sense of achievement and purpose. That's right, a sense of purpose. When we run, we lead by example. Athletes of every order feel it, but running, arguably the oldest sport, and certainly for many of our ancestors, an activity that was required not just for enjoyment, but survival. When we run, we are taking command of ourselves. And any runner who's banged out a few miles before work knows that we walk a little taller and we exude a distinct manner of confidence. Therefore, this leadership activity assumes a heightened sort of impact, or potential impact on those around us. Catch it. Whether folks scoff at you, or compliment you, or have no visible reaction to what you're saying about your running, there's no telling exactly what they take away from your experience, but it ain't nothing. And so helping others on some level, merely by helping ourselves, imbues running with a very real sense of purpose. And that's just the health and fitness level of runner. If you start looking at the endurance and competitive runners, that quality of purpose often elevates to a sense of mission. And this doesn't happen in a vacuum. When we run, more or less with consistency, or even with periods of high running activity, there's generally some toll that's taken. We know what the extraordinary benefits are of running. But now let's ask ourselves, what is the cost of running? What sacrifices are made in exchange for all that good stuff? Pain, lots of pain. Everyone in the hall will soon be experiencing pain. Maybe joint pain, back pain, Achilles pain, hamstring pain, muscle tear pain. Who knows? All manner of injuries are possible. I'm 42 now.
Oh boy.
Injuries are not all that uncommon to me now. If you're one of the disciplined, relaxed, careful, and lucky runners who managed your running career without these more intense setbacks, surely you know that recovery from long runs, lactic acid, tightness, and a host of other running-related issues are familiar to all. But here's a strange one. Hard to imagine this room with all of its volume. But sometimes with running, there's loneliness. Now, I absolutely relish the solitude that I enjoy while running. In fact, I mostly train alone, and that's the way I like it. I worship and celebrate the much-needed time for reflection in my day that running offers. But as I was trying to think about the low aspects of my running life, I had to admit to myself that I also occasionally allow for a kind of unique sadness to creep in and run with me. There are so many who cheer us on, from family and friends to race organizers, volunteers, and the public. It's clearly one of the great things about these races. But as we analyze our total investment as runners, it seems only right to point out that sometimes that leadership I talked about, that boldness, that achievement, it can, at certain moments, be quite lonely. And then there's money. While I espouse the virtues of a sport that only requires a good pair of shoes, I buy too many pairs of shoes, by the way. I just have to have that other pair. It might be wider, it might be firmer, I don't know. I also indulge in the goodies, the expos, which I highly encourage. I never regret the money I spend on running stuff. But you gotta factor money into the cosmic question, is it worth it? Well, of course it's worth it. That's why we're all here. This chamber of running exaltation, this river of endorphins, this sneaker-wearing cabal. In the cosmic balance between what we sacrifice and what we gain, everyone in this building knows that there's not even a remote question. The benefits of a life of running, even if that means a single couch to 5K experience, totally outweigh the sacrifices. But guess what, folks? This is a glory moment. A glory moment. From the minute we sign up for the race, pack our bags, get our race bibs, stand in the corrals, run, finish, medal, and decompress, this is by a million miles the easiest part of running. And if this is your first 5 or 10K or half, I promise you that if you've been doing a little practicing, even only a little training, the level of psyching yourselves up or psyching yourselves out is having a way bigger effect on your experience than the actual hard-charging, foot-pounding, oxygen-depleting training runs that you'll likely want to do before your next Disney adventure. So what I want to talk about today, that word behind me, is the thing that you can count on to get you going the rest of the time. On Monday mornings in the freezing cold, or hot summer afternoons, or when you know you just can't put off running for another day, even though the first 50 steps are going to be miserable. What I'm talking about is inspiration. What I'm talking about is the Disney magic of running lives. It's a massive word with lots to live up to. Olympic gold medals, soldiers learning to run on prosthetic limbs, children battling disease with strength and grace. These are the things, the essence of inspiration. We can also become inspired by a sunset, a waterfall, music, movies, art, animals, faith. So much in life inspires us. In fact, life itself, in almost all of its shapes and forms, has the power to uplift and inspire. So why in an expo setting is it worth taking an analytical look at the concept of inspiration? We could just read some poetry. But no, they said I could talk, but this is what I like to do. So,
Mom.
isn't it enough to be, I wrote this, by the way, yesterday.
Only green has the color.
Yeah, I'm quite the word. I babble a lot. My wife comes in, I'm like, can I read this to you? And she's like, sure, read it to me. Isn't it enough to be inspired rather than rationally pulling the idea of inspiration apart? Well, here's the thing. Very often, we fail to recognize when we're being inspired. Very often, we overlook or totally miss that extraordinarily inspirational thing right in front of us. Well, clearly, if you're at a Run Disney event, then like me, you are an inspiration junkie. But my premise here is that if you invest a couple more minutes considering the very nature of inspiration, you may be able to deepen the intensity of your inspired experiences and hold on to them for just a little bit longer. All right, let's take a hard look at what drives us. Because each of us has what I call, hold on, where's there a kid around? Who's going to volunteer? Okay, can you say grizzled detractor?
Grizzled detractor.
Yell it out. Louder.
Grizzled detractor.
It doesn't sound nearly as threatening when you say it. But that's a phrase I came up with, a grizzled detractor, that monster, that thing inside us that can't help but draw our attention to the pain we feel running, to the tiredness, achiness, and other sacrifices of this sport, this activity, this hobby, this habit, this obsession. The grizzled detractor inside of us looks hungrily at those dynamics, searching for a solid reason to impede our development. But then, at key moments in our journey, we look at the
Grizzled detractor. Grizzled detractor.
And we spit in his eye. Many of you know that feeling I'm talking about when we yearn for the pain of a gargantuan run, the burning in our legs, that fire in our lungs, the lactic acid bath that watches through us. We scoff at blisters. We laugh at cramps in our side. So what is this thing that happens to us? Is it physical? Is it mental? Is it something bigger than ourselves? I submit that at those moments, we have become inspired. It may not look like the joyful tears of a triumphant success. In fact, it may look like dumb fortitude or a mindless habit. But inside the mechanics of our minds and bodies, an awakening or reawakening is occurring. Our knowledge that every single run is a battle against the forces who array themselves to get in the way of our running. Our knowledge, whether we identify it as such or just mush on, the fundamental understanding, that is the low-grade drip of inspiration that keeps us going. A comment from a colleague, man, I could never do that. A family member, Dad, how long are you going to be going this time? A person who notices your shoes, your running shoes, and wants to compare notes. Oh, are those the blah, blah, blah? Each of these and a million other moments are the spark plugs of inspiration firing inside of us. So let's get at the anatomy of this idea of inspiration. There's some pretty cool definitions. One, the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially creative. Okay. The next one we'll talk about in a minute, I love. It's actually literally, physically, the drawing in of breath. Inspiration. What is inspiration? One of the definitions of inspiration is it's the physical drawing in of breath. I was just inspired. The third one, this is a humdinger. I gotta stand up for this one.
What'd you do with
A divine influence or action on, not to, not with, not for, a divine influence or action on a person believed to qualify him or her to receive and communicate sacred revelation. If this wasn't expensive enough, drop it down with the microphone and walk off. So in order to be inspired, at the moment you're inspired, you are, according to Webster, you are ready, you're capable, you're worthy of receiving that inspiration and communicating it to others. Man, that's an awful lot to put on a sunset.
Don't be smart. Maybe.
The action, let me just drop down. The action or power of moving the intellect or emotions. Think of that. We all have that power. We're all like opposable thumbs and we can think. The action or power of intellect. helps us break the inertia required to move from the couch to the street. That's inspiration. I'm just scanning through stuff because I want to get to questions. Blah, blah, blah. We need a purpose. Even if that reason isn't clear to us, or we don't want to label it on a vital level. Because when you talk about purpose, you say, oh, you want to have a purpose, it's very self-conscious. I mean, it's not if you're raising money for a cancer research thing, or you have to put something together. But in the more kind of foo-foo shishi, ethereal, kind of out there sense of purpose, it's a lot of people are uncomfortable with that idea for themselves. But whether they're comfortable or not, I say we need it. Deep inside ourselves, we draw inspiration from many places. The natural environment, the satisfaction of fitting into a snug pair of pants. I lost 40 pounds this year.
Right?
Yeah.
Good job.
Eat more vegetables. That's how I did it. How did you do it? You run so much. I ate more vegetables. Wow, okay. Okay. We garner inspiration from, okay, this is true. We garner inspiration from curious and far-flung places. But some of us know that we must actually seek inspiration out. Like a treasure hunt. So look at us here, sitting in this room, all of you sitting here, listening to Allie and listening to me. We're very clever, aren't we? We know that we have to seek out inspiration. How long is this convention going to last in us? Quite a while. And every time we renew it with a new medal or a new Disney adventure, we're the smart ones. I'm saying this for the people you're going to talk to tomorrow, because we already know. The act of influencing or suggesting opinions, inspiration, isn't just something that happens spontaneously in response to stimuli of something extraordinary and touching. Inspiration, this is my whole thing today, this is my whole thing. Inspiration can flow from conscious intention. What I do before a race, tomorrow night, I'm gonna pull up Netflix on my computer and I'm gonna get like Running the Sahara on Netflix. Or I'll get the one with Terry Fox, the guy who ran with one leg across Canada to raise money, awareness and money for cancer research. Or the guy whose wife passed away and he ran from like Michigan or something down to Atlanta. That's what I do. I literally, it's like you need to eat, carbo load, I inspire load. Yeah. Then when I'm in mile 8 or 12, I'm like, I'm not on the 37th 100 mile in a row day. You know, I seek it out. So I encourage you to find those things and seek them out. Can anybody think of those things for themselves?
Yes.
Anybody think of an idea? What do you do to seek out inspiration? Rudy, you watch Rudy. That's good. Always good. We're gonna go inside, outside. All right. Well, you think about it. All right. I'm trying to skip through because it's long. I love it. I could read it for hours, but okay, this one, we've gone deep, right? We're gonna go deeper. I got into the esoteric, some little kind of academic language thrown out there, some highfalutin ideas. Check this out. I think that inspiration has to do with death.
Wow.
Heavy, right?
Wow.
But think of it. Think of it, when you see a story about some little baby, right? Born prematurely, struggling, fighting for life, and you're watching it on 60 Minutes or 2020 or one of the morning shows, and it stops you from pouring the milk into your cereal because you're inspired. What you're inspired by is that the will to live, the will to fight. When you're inspired by something in the natural world, a bird or an animal or something like that, you're inspired by the life. So it's sort of a two-part equation. You can't be inspired by that if there isn't also the reality of death. So I know it's pretty heavy stuff to lay on you on a Saturday when we're going to go have fun, But I think that if you can do that, if you can, when something happens, you can stop and go, wow, that blows me away, what I just saw. And you do that thing I talked about earlier, where you literally draw in breath. Like if you see, I keep going to the sunset, because when I run, I love like the vistas, the landscapes. So I'll look at it and I'll just go, wow, that is so beautiful. And that drawing in of breath is, it's actually, that sunset gave me a little bit extra life. And if I mentally note it when it happens, first of all, I'm acknowledging my gratitude for it. It's really important when you're inspired by something to be grateful for its presence in your life. Because if you don't, it's like not paying it's like not tipping the waiter. Brings you a great meal, you give them a little tip. Somebody comes and make you feel like life's worth living, you know, say thank you in your heart. It's not that. It's not hard to do. Okay. Would you believe me if I told you that okay, wait, that's what I already said. There's a riff here I can't wait to get to. All right. When I run, I throw my shoulders back and scan the broad horizon. When I draw in a massive cleansing breath, in through my nose and pacing out through my mouth, I'm defying the odds once again. I'm not dead yet. Oh sure, tackling the imposing hills of the San Francisco Marathon with an IT band issue felt like death. But then when I got up onto the top of that hill, and the Pacific Ocean was right in front of me, and a gust of wind came in and filled my lungs, I was very, very much alive. What a gift. To have our eyes open and our senses heightened is a clarion call through the ages that says, yes, all of human history that has come before me has led up to this step, and this one, and this one. It may not be recorded in history books for posterity to study, but it is being recorded in the history of me. In the last stages of my life, hopefully far from now, I intend to reflect back across the miles I've trod. In Dubai this year, and Japan, and Vancouver, Georgia, Salt Lake City, Wisconsin, San Diego, Los Angeles, Florida, Virginia. That's just this year alone.
Wow.
Yes, my frequent flyer mile applause. The unifying activity, stitching together the fabric of my travels this year, and many years, has been running. My visits simply aren't complete until I lace up and explore the local environment through the lens of a good run. Landed in Tokyo on a Thursday, tweeted out, hey, are there any 10Ks coming up? Blam, 30 10Ks came through. Saturday morning I was running around the Imperial Palace with 800 other people with a bib on and got a trophy.
Woo! Ow!
Gotta love that.
Yeah, you do.
Gotta love that. The Boston Marathon incident happened, and I was in Salt Lake City. And because of the Run Third thing, I got a shirt made up. I went and bought a Boston Red Sox away jersey, and I got Run Third put on the back of it and the Boston Strong ribbon, because I knew I was going to be in Vancouver. And I found out the day before the race that there was a race that the Vancouver Sun newspaper was putting on, 40,000 people. And because I'm in movies and stuff, I found myself at the beginning of the race with my Boston jersey on, talking about life and community and support. So, gotta love that about running. I'm constantly aware that each one of my steps contributes to my life narrative. My life means something to me. It really means something to me. And every time I'm out there running, even if nobody's looking, I'm like, this is going to my life. I'm not gonna take my life for granted. I'm gonna enjoy this step. While it may or may not be interesting to anyone else, even my family, who I constantly browbeat into how significant every 4-mile run I do is, they can only stomach so much, but I know, and that's why I keep track of the miles. That number of miles correlates on some level in my twisted brain to some kind of validation of my existence. You don't need it, but I love it. Love it. Love looking back through March of 2008 How many miles did I run in March of 2008? So, therefore, I'm worthy of meeting my maker sometime in the distant future because, ta-da, I've logged another 1,000 miles. I can picture being at the pearly gates and chit-chatting with St. Peter. I'm not going to do a St. Peter accent. It's probably Irish, right? But I can't do that. So I can, but I'm just not going to do it. But what I will say, my imaginary St. Peter conversation is, he would go, wow, Sean, I'm not going to wear these, by the way. But it would be a kind of a cool thing, right? Like, hey, St. Peter, what's up? I'm just saying, it's cool. Got my name on there? Put it in my wall. You go like, wow, Sean, that's amazing. You know, I could never even run more than a couple of miles. Well, that's okay, I'd say, St. Peter. All you gotta do is, get a good pair of shoes and start slowly. Don't set unrealistic expectations for yourself. And the harp kind of gets louder, playing me off, and I say, well, yeah, I guess you got a lot going on up here. He'd say, yeah. And then I'd head back and go, wait, hold on. Do you have any good suggestions on a good route to run?
Keep it up.
I suppose any route would be good
if
you're in heaven. But my point remains. To me, running is a celebration of life. When someone is inspired to run or run further or run with greater confidence or run with purpose, I think that on some level, they're reminded that life is meant to be lived and loved and appreciated. So how? How do we run with purpose? Well, most of the people here have a friend or a family member or a loved one who's in need of support, financial support, moral support, the support that comes from knowing that others are thinking about them. Well, most of us aren't doctors, so helping with medical needs has limits. Most of us are not dripping with a ton of extra cash, so financial support usually has limitations. And yet we often need to do something else. Some people cook, I guess. We want desperately to show that we care. We want to let them know that their life, their plight is so important that we're committed to helping them in some way, maybe spreading the word about them. And what better way to do this than to deplete our body's energy stores completely? We wear t-shirts, we make signs, we cheer. The expenditure of effort is honest. It's obvious for all to see, and it feels great. Running becomes a precious gift that we give to ourselves and to others. If someone knows that at any given moment in someone's painful journey that they kept going because the thought that their effort might mean something to someone else, to the people we care about, it's called compassion. And it's an exchange. We care about ourselves and and they care about us. Running becomes an undeniable gesture. I know you were in pain for a while, and you did that for me. Thank you. Thank you for caring enough to live and strive and endure the rigors of that running achievement with me in your heart. The fact that we're willing to take the time to experience exhaustion can be a present that we wrap up in a sweaty bow and extend to the world. And after each run, we know that no one can ever take it away from us. So running is in itself inspiring. Why don't you play the Run Third thing?
What are you doing, man? Oh, showing the video. Where is it? It's not coming up.
While he's queuing, oh, here it is. Imaginable. It's hard, it's painful. I've been long distance running for 25 years. It's one of the most rewarding physical activities imaginable. It's hard, it's painful, but it's fun. It confers legitimacy on my day. It makes me feel alive. Simply stated, I love running, and I love running far. Above all else, running is selfish. Therefore, I run first for me. My family waits for me. My family listens to my stories from the road. My family has faith in me. My family loves me, trusts me, and depends on me. Therefore, second, I run for them. While running is in many ways about solitude, I rarely run alone. My thoughts are always with me. My hopes, my fears, my dreams, they come along too. From start to stop, I yearn to understand the greater meaning of my journey. With every beat of a runner's heart, with every pounding step, life itself is affirmed. And so, it costs nothing, yet can mean everything for any runner, for me, to make a simple dedication. To say that these steps I'm taking are not mine to own. It means something to me to declare that because I'm alive and I care for others, third, I run for you.
Oh,
Thank you.
John?
So, yeah. Yay, run, clapping for helping others. So the way it works is, it started, the LA Marathon had a thing, run for something, and I was a little kind of embarrassed because I never run for anything. In fact, I think I kind of intentionally avoided the idea of running for someone else, of dedicating a run, or, I mean, we'd all do 10Ks where everybody wear a pink shirt for raising money for this idea or that, but I never sort of said, I dedicate this run to something. But then the LA Marathon that I revere so much had this thing, and I started, reflecting on it, and I realized I didn't want to pick any one thing to define my heart, my giving of myself. So I picked everything. And so what happened was, we started this campaign, and what people do is they write, so I run first myself, I run second for my wife and kids. Christine is my wife, Allie, Elizabeth, and Isabella. I write their names on my shirt or my arm or whatever. And then I run third for you. So the idea is, people write, I don't know, let's look at it right now. And pull up Twitter real quick. Hashtag. Okay. I'm just going to scroll through my little thing here, and at some point I'm going to see run third. Has anybody got the hashtag up? Anyway, people like run third for my dad who has Alzheimer's, run third for my son who's autistic, run third for my cousin who committed suicide, run third for, I lost my sister this year, my husband died 2 days ago, please run third for my husband. And what you have is this Twitter hashtag strand that reads like a living prayer. It reads like a prayer chain, or a celebration of people's loved ones and causes they believe in and ideas. And so when I wear, a lot of people around here are going to wear during the races, run third, the idea is you're running on behalf of all of them. And so early on, people would help me with it. I would actually there would be like 2,000 run third dedications, and we would have them printed out in tiny little things and put on a card, and I'd carry it with me physically while I was running, carrying those people's hopes and dreams and ideas. And then after a year, I was like, well, it's not, it can't just be about me. So we started getting these Run Third team captains. And they're people who, by the way, you can all be a Run Third team captain. Or at least you can help get people to make these dedications. And there's actually something happens when you invite someone to make a dedication. Who would you make a dedication to if you had to right now? A loved one or a cause or an idea? Come on. Your family members, your dog who died. So many people on Run Third talk about their animals who passed, or their animals who do silly things. I did one, my dog, my little puppy dog, he stretches out on the couch and rolls over and falls off the couch. And he gets back and keeps doing that. So anyway, so tomorrow on Sunday, we'll run third for, what's your dog's name? Kissy. I bet I know where the dog got that name from. Yeah, so we'll run third for Kissy too. Okay? So there's, anyhow, so that's run third. this thing over here is, I've never, when I was 29, I ran my first full marathon. I did it in 4 hours and 4 minutes and 27 seconds or something. And the goal was to do sub 4. So I finished 26.2 miles, and my feeling was, oh, I missed it by that much. So, and since then I've run 4 other marathons, and the next closest time was 4:16. So I put on this little thing, sub 4. Right? In my I'm never going to compete with, you know, a lot of people are running 2-hour and 30-minute marathons, and there's a whole host of a couple 100,000 people who can run, you know, 3-hour marathons. But for me, if I can ever run a sub 4 marathon, you'll hear it, by the way. It's going to sound like when the space shuttle would come through the sonic barrier. What's that? Ooh. Or it's like when Bell shakes, a fairy gets its wings.
Yeah.
Sean just must have gone sub 4. Anyhow. So what I'm going to do with this, it's going to be a documentary, and I'm going to focus on what is that thing in ourselves that makes us want to do the best. The best. I mean, 18 minutes flat was my best 5K time. I was 16. 17, I did a 42:23 10K. When and then I did a half marathon here, the Disneyland Half Marathon. I did my personal best 1:59:08, and then the full marathon was 4:04. So why, out of the 3,000 and 28 miles, why do those 4 numbers sear themselves into my brain as though they're any more significant than any of the other steps I've taken? So, you know, when you do that, when you're always questing for your personal best, you're 99.999% of the time you're failing. You can only do your personal best, you know. I don't know, maybe if you're, so that idea, I'm going to get a Kenyan runner, I'm going to find a woman who is competing to get into the Boston Marathon, I'm going to find a high school cross-country team, I'm going to find somebody who's led a sedentary life or who's let themselves go and they're ready to do a couch to 5K, and the 5 of us are going to explore this idea of when does your personal best become debilitating? You know, when are you not actually helping yourself? I mean, if you go out for a great run and you run, you know, 4 10-minute miles where you feel great, but they're not the 9:45s that you felt you should be doing. You know, when can it inspire us? When can it push us to that next? Oh, there you go. There's one of 3 people. Oh, right on. There you go. These are my friends. People are like, who are you gonna run with on Sunday? I'm like, oh, about 18,000 people. Let's do questions. Let's talk about what you want to talk about. I don't know how much time we have left. Let me look at the thing. We got like 15 minutes left. So it always goes better when we're talking about what people want to talk about. How many are running on in the 5K? The family run? You're running the family run? First time? First 5K, like official formal race? Third. Good. Then you're getting good at it. And you? All right. So you're like an Olympic athlete. All right. So just honk when you go by me. Okay. What about who's doing the 10K? Wow. Doing the 10K. Who's going for their personal best? You what? Maybe? You think? You hope? Who else? Back there, yeah? You think you got a shot at it? Oh, it's your first one. It will absolutely be. How about a round of applause? Yeah. Excellent. I wish you good luck. Run smooth running. Who's running just to make sure they finish? Yeah? I promise you'll finish. I keep my word too. What's the biggest? Hydration is important. We gotta hydrate. What else? Who's running the half? Wow. So I'm gonna do the 5K in the morning, and as a warm up for the 10K, and then I'm gonna cruise to the 10K, and then there is a small chance that I can personal best on Sunday, because I had these IT band issues on like all summer long, or like, you know, from May or something like that. But I started cycling, doing cross training, and it really strengthened up my legs. So the last few runs I've done, I was feeling pretty good. So if it's too warm out, it won't happen. If I don't hydrate right, it won't happen. And if I go, Bob Hitchcock's gonna run the 5K with me. If he pushes me too hard, then it won't happen. So, but there is, in my mind, a small chance that I can do it. I'll probably end up at like 2:15 instead of 1:58, but whatever.
Wow.
Yes, 5 minutes? That was, okay, 5 minutes left.
Oh.
Who wants to talk about, does anybody else have, just trying to think of the inspirational, well, hold on, I know what I can do. So no questions about Run Third, no questions about inspiration, no questions about anything?
Nope.
Be brave. Be brave.
Where can we get a Run Third hat?
Where do you get a Run Third hat? I don't know. We haven't made. Oh, you saw that? You see the guy?
Yes, I did.
My whole thing with Run Third. Oh, you've got it. There you are. Hello there. Oh, hey. That's cool. Hi there. We got Run Thirders around here. That's awesome. The cool thing about Run Third is there's no money involved. It's not a financial thing. It's just an inspirational thing. So like I went on Fox News and Steve Edwards, who's our LA local Fox News guy, who I've known my whole life, he's like, okay, what's the angle? I'm like, Run Third is kryptonite to cynical people. I mean, it's just, there's all goodness. And people get, so I got to fly with the Blue Angels because the Navy public affairs guy was looking at what I was doing with Run Third. He said, hey man, we really think what you're doing is great. You want to come fly with the Blue Angels? Yeah.
Did you get sick?
So,
What?
Did you get sick?
I didn't get sick. Well, I didn't actually throw up, but I was a little green after the last maneuver. But I did their whole catalog, and they didn't offer me to become a pilot, but you know, felt pretty good. Oh, there's the Run Third game. Danny McNeely's here somewhere, and are you around? Is Danny here?
Yep.
No?
There's Mom.
Did he leave? Okay, he came up. He has a company called Armor Games, and they do all these little kind of, I don't want to call them tabletop games, but they're games on your computer that are kind of mindless games. And he really liked what we do with Run Third, so he turned it into a game. And it starts with me running, and then it becomes Rudy running, and then Samwise running, and you earn points. And basically, you type in the name of the person that you're dedicating it to, and their name keeps scrolling behind you. It's fun. My daughter's been playing it forever. There's also a Facebook group. Facebook.com/groups/Run Third. Oh, we're talking about inspiration. I gotta find a PG or a G-rated version of saying what people call me. Let's just say I really like the medals. I love them so much. And you know how I display them now? I display them. We got a stick out of the backyard, just kind of old stick, you know, from a tree branch or whatever. Tree branch. It's a tree branch. And put a little split in the middle of the tree branch, and I put the ribbons through that and hang off, and it kind of looks like streamers off a flag. Love that. So you can't see any of the individual ones, but love that. Milestones. No matter what level you're at, everybody achieves different milestones, and I think it's inspirational both when you note them and you enjoy them and you share them with other people. So I encourage you to do that. Wrapping it up. All right, everybody, you let me bore you with my ideas on inspiration. Thank you so much. Have a great time. Run safe, run well.